We shall discuss the poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. So, Emily Dickinson is an American poet, and in this poem, there is an exploration of both the inevitability of death. What do you mean by inevitability of death? Like death will happen for sure. We cannot escape from death. That idea is being given, and also the uncertainty surrounding what happens after the death. None of us are sure about what happens after the death. After the death. So even that uncertainties are also addressed. So let us see the poem line by line, and then I will explain little bit. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. Since I was not able to stop for death, death stopped for me. So when they say that death is stopping for her, here death is shown like a gentleman. Death is shown like a man. Personification is done. The word he itself says that there is personification of death. The carriage held just ourselves and immortality. The carriage held just ourselves and immortality. Now, what do you mean by ourselves? Ourselves means the poet, the poetess, and death, along with immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste. We were drawing slowly, like we were driving slowly, and death knew no haste. Usually, what is the idea of death? Death comes so quick and takes us and goes, right? But here, death is said like a gentleman who is taking his time, who is giving her time, and who is taking her along with him. And I had to put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. So I had so many works and I had so many things to do in my leisure. I had to put away, I have to give up all that. Why? For his civility, because death was so good to me. Death was waiting for me. Death was treating me so good, like a gentleman. So, for his civility, for the good nature, that good manners that death did to me, I had to leave away everything and go with death. We passed a school where children strove at recess in the ring. You know, a school, they passed a school where the children will at recess they will be playing. Now this is indicative of the infancy of the poet. Like now she will be taken along through all the phases of her life which she has covered. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun. Now we passed the fields of grazing grain. Grazing grain is like very much good for harvest, something very good. So grazing grain is like adolescence. Okay. We pass the setting sun. Setting sun shows old age. Or rather he passed us. We passed the sun or he passed us. Anyway, we have covered the setting sun. The dews drove. Now, or rather he passed us means old age. No, it comes suddenly. Okay, even the old age is not just a number. Okay, it's also about the person's health and everything that shows how a person is old. The dews drew quivering and chill. Now it was getting very cold. Death is always cold. Death is always associated with coldness. For only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. So she was wearing only very thin dress. So she was feeling very cold. We passed before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. Now what is it? Swelling of a ground. Now swelling of a ground, from that image, from those words itself we can understand it is the place where she gets cremated. Like it is the place where she is buried. Burial ground. The roof was scarcely visible. How will the roof be visible? There is no roof for the cemetery. The roof is always sky. Just think of, don't think of the normal ones with slab and all. Think about that place where people are buried and like an arch, they will be covering the mud like an arch. Have that picture in your mind, okay, when you read this, a swelling of the ground. Since then, the corner is in the ground. The corner part of this place is ground. Of course, it is ground. It's in the ground. Since then it's centuries and yet feels shorter than a day. Since then centuries passed but it feels shorter than a day. I felt surmised the horses' heads were towards eternity. Then before even I could think, the horse's head was turning to eternity and I was going on into the eternity. I hope you understood. Now we shall have little bit discussion about the literary devices used here. The literary devices used here are irony, personification, metaphor and alliteration. What is the irony here? It says centuries pass but it feels shorter than a day. So that is the irony here. And in the last and then death and immortality are considered, treated like people, very gentle, like who is waiting, like civility, shows his civility, etc. So these kind of wordings that are put shows personification, where the quality of a person is given to death and immortality. Metaphor. What is the metaphor here? Death is compared to a carriage. Death is compared to an unexpected carriage ride. And what are the alliterations that we have here? My labor and leisure too. Labor and leisure. Le. At recess in the ring. Recess ring. R. Gazing grain. G. Setting sun. S. Gossamer my gown. G. Tippet only chul. T. Horses' heads, Okay, so these are the alliterations. Okay, so I hope you understood the poem very well. Don't mind me using, like, I know, okay, if, like, I'm not taking videos for, like, gaining some money or anything. That is not my intention. My intention is my passion to teach literature. So if I want, I can take in, I know videos, if I take in Malayalam, I'll be getting more views. But that is not the right way, right? If I take poems only in Malayalam, then only the people who are from Kerala can make use of it. But if I do it in English, everybody can make use of it. So if I'm doing a poem in English, I'll be doing every work in English itself. Explanations will be in English. And I'm sure the English that I'm using is not so hi-fi English. I'm just using simple English, which you must have heard even in your school. Simple English only I'm using. So if then also if you don't understand, if you ask for a Malayalam explanation, I will do Malayalam explanation. But basically when I do a work, I will be explaining in English itself. Okay. So all the best. Take care.